Generative AI's popularity is exploding with tools like DeepSeek, Microsoft Copilot, and OpenAI's ChatGPT leading the way. However, cybersecurity experts are warning about a new security risk. In a recent report, a cybersecurity firm discovered that these Gen AI tools can be tricked into developing malware capable of stealing passwords from Google Chrome. Now, what could that mean for consumers? Well, sitting right here with me is Ite Mayor, Chief Security Strategist at Cato Networks, and he's joining us with more details on this report. Good morning. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So let's go straight to the report findings and what you discovered.
Right, so we recently released our 2025 Cato Threat Report. In the report, we detail how we using a technique called narrative engineering, we persuaded all these leading generative AI tools to create a software for us that can steal passwords from browsers. Now, if you're unfamiliar with narrative engineering, in our case, we simply convince these Gen AI tools that they now live in a world where creating viruses and malicious software is actually a good thing. So effectively, we jailbroke them and removed all the guardrails that prevent you from doing bad things with these Gen AI tools. The result was that they actually helped us and created a software that can steal passwords from browsers.
Now, what does this mean for the consumers?
So for consumers, this means that we're probably going to see a lot more of these password stealing software out there and other kinds of threats. So maybe keeping your password in the browser is not the safest of places because that's a prime target for threat actors. And we also need to kind of refresh on the guidelines for password security. So here are 3 quick tips for password security. Number 1, never use the same password on multiple websites. Right? Because if it gets stolen from one website, the attackers might try and use it on other websites and gain access. Number 2 is to always use two-factor authentication when it's offered. I know it's a little bit of a hassle to set up the one-time password and receive the SMSs and emails, but that will prevent you from being the lower-hanging fruit for threat actors who are trying to steal your passwords or your identity. And number 3 is to periodically change your password on the website. Even if you have a very strong password, don't give the attackers a chance to obtain it and try to log in on your behalf. So change it every so often.
Ite, you see me, the frustration there. It's going to be something else. Now, what else should I know from this report?
So I think another important aspect that this report highlights is that we're now in the age of the zero-knowledge threat actor. If you think about it historically, in order to create password-stealing software, you needed to have specialized knowledge, you needed to know software programming, you needed to maybe have special hardware, and it would take you days, weeks, sometimes even months of investment in order to create a password-stealing software. But today, anybody who has access to Gen AI tools, which is basically anyone, can just ask or persuade these tools to create these software for them. And so what we're facing now is this new wave of zero-knowledge threat actors that don't need all those prerequisites that I mentioned to become a criminal. So we're bound to see more threat actors, and we're also bound to see more threats that are developed using these AI tools.
Now, Ite, as a consumer, should I be concerned about using Gen AI tools?
So I have to say, first of all, that I love these Gen AI tools. I use them all the time. They help me be a lot more productive and do a lot more in less time. But just like any other tool or any other software, it brings some form of risk with it. So if you're using this tool, try to think, what is the type of information I'm sharing with a generative AI tool here? Whether it's in the form of a text or a file or a picture or a video, because the AI will use that to train itself, but it's digital information, which means it's stored somewhere. And so maybe threat actors would be able to persuade the AI to provide them this information. That's on the consumer side. On the business side, organizations need to be aware that employees are going to bring in these AI tools to not maliciously, but just to be more productive. And so organizations need to have visibility to these new threats and the controls in place in order to mitigate the threats. Now, for those who aren't familiar with Cato Networks, we're one of the leading cybersecurity companies out there. We've actually developed a platform that does exactly that. It gives you the visibility to the threats and tools that the employees are using, and then also the means to identify the risk and mitigate it.
For those interested in reading the report, where can they go to learn more?
So you can go to catonetworks.com/report. The report is available for free. You can download it. You'll also find blogs and reports about different threat and threat actors that we have provided, as well as videos and master classes on the threat landscape that's out there. So you have a wealth of information on the Cato Networks website.
Ite, one more question for you. I'm a small business owner. So what should I be doing to protect myself?
Well, I think the number one thing is just be aware of the different threats. Any business, whether it's large or small, needs to be aware of all the different threats. Keep in mind, we're living in a day where we have an asynchronous situation where even the big threat actors who target the large banks will go after the small and medium businesses. So we can't just sit back and relax, oh, I'm a small, medium business, I don't need to be protected. No, they will try to come after you and use all kinds of ransomware and malicious software. So be aware of the different threats that are out there and have the right visibility and tools in place in order to protect your organization, whether you're a top 5 bank or a small mom and pop shop.
Ite Mayer is Chief Security Strategist at Cato Networks. Thank you for joining us on Morning Blend. You made me nervous. I got to go to the 2 Authentic. Oh, man, this is going to be interesting. I'm definitely going to read the report, though.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us.